What is up, my brothers? Got a reach request here. As you can tell by the title, we're going to talk a little bit about the Mary J, the sweet green Sheba, whatever it is you want to call it these days. We got a gentleman that's 27 years old. I can't show you the top part because he mentions his first and last name, and I just want to respect his privacy. So to have this provide some use to him, getting the community feedback, we'll just record through this and see what's going on. Basically says he's active, 27, gym, rock climbing, recently yoga. He's been on the slim side at 145.11, focusing on eating as much as he can, like camping, hiking, outdoor stuff, reading, fantasy, sci-fi, self-help. So he's just into dude stuff, right? Like outdoor stuff, physical stuff. Okay, hanging with friends. In the future, I envision myself having a modest house or condo, nice car, girlfriend, and maybe some kids or a dog. Okay. I get clearer on those. Do you want kids or not? At 27, you don't need to decide right now, but deal with that at a later date. You got plenty of time. And with enough money to do what I want, travel, buy cool stuff. 100,000 annually would be more than enough. I don't know where you live, but 100,000 annually is not going to mean a whole hell of a lot in 10 or 15 years. Especially if you're in North America, somewhere in a more cosmopolitan city. I know some people like to argue with me, and they're like, "Oh, that's plenty of money." If you're talking about having kids and a mother to stay at home looking after them, it's definitely not enough. I can tell you that right now. Anyway, let's carry on. Currently a full-time student studying sociology, have 2 years left in my studies. I'm working at rock climbing gym for 12 bucks an hour, but I can climb anywhere for free. Potential train people there. I trim hedges as well, which I hate doing, but it pays well. Trim hedges. I'm guessing like landscaping stuff, I'm assuming. It works till the end of season. I have a good family. My parents want what's best for me. I still live at home in part because my parents, particularly my mom, wants me to stay till I've set up with education and job, but obviously it's my fault. All right, so parents are still together. I don't have my own car, and I don't even really have that much money, which bothers me more and more. Okay, well, you're making 12 bucks an hour. You're not going to make any kind of living at 12 bucks an hour. I can tell you that right now. Like that's a job, and a job like that, the JOB stands for just over broke. Right now, I'm taking 4 courses as well as taking personal training course to potentially give me an extra part-time job that I won't hate. To be honest, I don't really, if you're going to get into personal training, check out John Goodman's stuff. You can look up at his books on Amazon. I think the main one that teaches personal trainers how to grow their business without exchanging time for money is called Ignite the Fire. And it's Jon, last name Goodman. Anyway, to be honest, I really don't know what I like to do in terms of work. I do, if I either avoid working jobs 9 to 5, I do 100%. Okay, entrepreneurship is an intriguing idea. However, I don't have any ideas, and I find it quite intimidating. I got kind of fucked around between the ages of 19 to 23 because I had a bad perception of society and just outright didn't care about anything. I never really liked school, but I do love learning. Interesting. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Don't let school get in the way of your education. New things that I want to learn about. I was in a long-term relationship for 5 years until I decided to break things off. It took me a year to recover, so to speak. This summer, I started hooking up with other girls until I started seeing my neighbor. That's not always the best idea, but that's fine. I mean, like, you're single, 27. Anyway, casually, she dropped me, which hurt, okay, but led me to you in the rational male. I believe I understand the red pill mindset. I'm working towards it. I've never been as productive as I am now, but I still feel like a fuck up because my living status combined with my age. I find that ladies consume my thoughts way more than they should. Well, good that you're aware of it, but I have only really slept with 3 women in my life, and I really want to experience a lot of women. I find that I'm conflicted. I will not sleep with someone I do not find attractive, and my standards are pretty high. You know, it's funny. I had a conversation with a guy the other day on another request, which you'll see on the channel soon. Same thing, very high standards, doesn't want to sleep with somebody that they're not highly attracted to. Anyway, I understand that men should wait until their 30s for an LTR, but I tend to fall in love because when I do choose a woman that then wants me, she is a high quality girl. You're still plugged into societal conditioning that is not serving you, my friend. You've got a little more ways to go. You got to go further down the rabbit hole. You know, just keep working on that part. But anyway, observation in tow. Let's continue on. I am optimistic. However, sometimes I find myself getting frustrated and feel like an even bigger loser due to my current lack of success with women. You're 27 and you live at home making $12 an hour. Unless you're like a 10 out of 10 Chad, you're going to have a hard time. I mean, let's just be honest with that. That's just the reality of the world that we live in. Anyway, find myself getting frustrated, feel like an even bigger loser due to my lack of successful women. I really don't go out often, mainly because I figured I have so much catching up to do combined with my tight financial situations. But I think that if I put myself in situations to meet women more often, I would do better. Here's where we get into the Mary J. I also smoke way too much weed and find it difficult to stop, but I'll be damned if I go to rehab. Perhaps it's just a bullshit scapegoat. Yes, it is. It's your answer right there, my brother. When somebody says, I also smoke too much weed and find it difficult to stop, but I'll be damned if I go to rehabs. Perhaps it's probably not way too much. It's probably way too much if we can be a little more honest about the consumption rate. I mean, if we're talking daily, that's a problem. But we'll get into that in a little bit. I'll share some personal experiences too. I don't necessarily want to quit entirely, but I do need to have more control on my rate of consumption. Yes, okay, we've got more confirmation. That's overkill. Overall, I feel like I'm being pulled in many directions and I'm feeling pressure as though I'm running out of time to do things I want. On one hand, I really want to just make money and move the F out, travel and do whatever I want, but I'm also done my education, and if I do complete it, it will potentially help me make more money than with give me a sense of accomplishment. Okay. Additionally, I understand what makes a man attractive to a woman, but find that school is currently getting in the way of me to achieve the latter. Women seem interested in me, but until they find out I live at home. Of course, dude. I just mentioned that. But I mean, like, you already know that, I think, right? Part of me just wants to get alone and move out while I finish my studies, but I fear that might be a bit reckless in place. Yes, it's a bad idea. Don't dig yourself into a hole that you can't afford to get out of just to move out of your parents' house. Anyway, let's keep going. I feel kind of stuck and a bit worried, confused about what my future might look like. I don't want to work a job that I don't like, but I don't know if things I like can get me the life style that I want. If you have any of the book recommendations, I'd sincerely appreciate it. No, that's fine. Thanks for the request. I don't have any more book recommendations. Top right of the screen, I'll put a card up on the 7 books that I recommend all guys read. Just going to make a quick note here so I can put the card. But I think the biggest problems that you're dealing with right now is, let me just go here, is you've of course got this problem living at home, making $12 an hour, going to school at 27. I'm not a big fan of school. I've said this before on the channel. School gets in the way of many men's education. The way they teach you in the school system in North America, it doesn't really benefit guys as much as it benefits women. I mean, women tend to do better in the school system. It's just the way that, like, you don't want to sit there taking notes all day. Some guys can do well at it. So you're already in it, you're finishing it. Let's not harp on that too much. We can focus on the weed part, which I think is probably the most significant and misunderstood by you. I've participated in the Mary J in the past. It can get in the way of what you're doing as far as accomplishing things in life. I know very successful guys out there that consume weed on a regular basis. I'm talking like maybe 5-6 times a week. Not to get comatose, but they find that it helps them function and focus better depending on what they're doing, what their personality's like. It seems to be guys that are more ADD, that might have been on Adderall when they were younger, that tend to do quite well with it. But if you're the kind of guy that, you know, does a $12 an hour job, goes to school, does his homework, comes home, rolls a spliff, and then gets high and plays video games, you're not going to get a lot of satisfaction out of that, you know, protocol, basically, is what I'm saying. I mean, unless female nature pivots somehow and changes to seek high value video gaming men that are at the top of their leaderboards with the most number of frags, you're kind of not going to serve yourself that well if you're spending way too much time getting stoned. You know, it's just a reality of life. I'm not saying that you should or you shouldn't quit it, but what I am saying is, if it dominates your life, meaning you think about it consistently, you need it on a consistent basis to function, you should be able to make it your bitch. So let me put it to you this way. If you can stop cold turkey and do it for months, 3-4 months, let's say, and not even think about it, you own it. You know, you control it. I mean, you should, like, anything that you feel is your vice in your life, and I'm talking to all guys right now, anything you feel that might be a vice in your life that controls you, that dictates your thoughts, your patterns, what you're doing, then you should quit it and just prove that it's your bitch. If you find that women are too much of the focus of your life, then go MGTOW monk for a few months. Don't do any dating. Don't do dating apps. Don't go out on dates. Nothing. Just disconnect for a bit, right? If you find alcohol is a vice of yours and you want to make it your bitch, cold turkey, stop drinking. Watch what happens in 3 to 6 months. I'm not a big fan of alcohol. I don't drink alcohol. I mean, if anything, if you're going to get into recreational stuff, my view is probably weed's a little bit safer. I'm not going to say it's healthier, but if you vape it, it's certainly healthier to your body than what alcohol does to your liver and your mind. But overconsumption of anything is, I mean, it's going to run you. It's going to run your day. It's going to run your life. It's basically going to leave you comatose. And I know a lot of guys do when they get too deep into smoking too much weed. They'll end up just, they just space out and they don't have any motivation. They won't do work. They'll avoid work. They'll avoid contact with people. Like I've said before, people really are masters of two things: complicating their lives and then justifying why they do it. If you're a heavy weed consumer, that can really be magnified. So I don't have any new book recommendations for you. There's already the 7 books that I've mentioned earlier. They're great reads. They'll help you understand the red pill awareness. You got a little bit of the one-itis for girls in your late 20s, which somebody asked me recently. If you're recently red pilled, how long does it take to fully consume it and at least absorb the concepts and apply them to your life and live with a red pill lens? And I said, basically, as long as you've been blue pilled. So if you're, blue pilled for 27 years of your life, it's probably going to take at least another 27 years before you get it fully out of your system. We had a conversation on the Red Man group at one point, and we were asking around, and even Rollo, the godfather of the red pill, practically, it's like, I still have to keep myself in check from time to time, reverting back to old beta conditioning. So don't beat yourself up too much on that, but just understand that you're going to have to be attentive to your behaviors and where you're going and what you're doing. I mean, it's obviously appreciated that you sponsor a video and ask these questions. And I'm not trying to be disparaging when I respond here to these sorts of things, but I really think that the next step for you and for many guys out there that are asking these same questions of themselves, maybe to me, maybe they're emailing, DMing me, whatever. I don't see any of those because I don't have time to dig through those folders. There's always an autoresponder directing to stuff like this. But if you find that you're asking these questions, the very next step for you is take action. If you're going to ask a question, do nothing with it. There's an old phrase, I think I posted this once on my Instagram, you're an asshole. You ask a question, you do nothing with it, you're an asshole. So the next step for you is to do something with it. And for you, legitimately, it's finish your schooling, make more than $12 an hour, move out of your parents' house. If the weed is consuming your weekly activities, you need to cut it out and prove that it's your bitch, or, slowly, cut it back to half. I mean, if you're at it 7 days a week, go at it 3 days a week, or just reserve it for the weekend, for example. But it doesn't have the same addictive properties, although some people will argue this with me. I don't believe anyway it has the same addictive properties as cigarettes. And the shit they put in cigarettes. So it should be easier for you to walk away from it. Again, I'm speaking from personal experience here too. So I'll wrap up the video on that note. I want to thank you for your request, guys. There's also a new join button beside the subscribe button. If you want to join a small community, I think YouTube pins it at like $4.99 a month. I'm putting out some extra perks there and taking topic suggestions for regular videos on my channel if you want to join that community. And there's, of course, the website, which is now up and running. It's linked or pinned in the description below always. It's just entrepreneursandcars.com/community. Lots of extra perks there and premium videos that don't go on the channel. And last thing, thank you to my channel sponsor, Tactical Soap Company. Scott, you're awesome. There's a link below for 10% off. It's awesome stuff. We'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.